G'day everybody, my name is Lowell and welcome to the channel. So this popped up on my feed and I thought I'll give it a go. This is surprising differences between Australia and America. Well, United States actually. Every time I say America, people say, oh, there's more than just America in America. It's United States. Right, let's jump in. Let's have a look at this one, shall we?
Alright, you already know from the title, but today we're going to be talking about the differences between the US, specifically California, and Australia.
But she said that funny. Why does she?
The US, specifically California, and Australia.
She's got it. Okay, that's weird.
Specifically Melbourne, Victoria.
Well, we won't hold it against her. She's coming from California, went to Melbourne. Yikes. Anyway, Melbourne is fine. Melbourne is fine.
Recently just moved to Australia a month ago. I was, in fact, born here and then moved out to California when I was 8. I've had the majority of my life.
That's why I can hear that tiny bit of. That's why she says Australia the proper way, instead of like most Americans do. Okay, I couldn't wrap my head around that. Okay, so she was born in Australia, so that makes more sense.
I've spent in California, but then now I've returned back to Australia, and I just want to talk.
Oh, I can hear her accent coming out. Can hear it coming out. Okay, that's weird. That's so weird. Okay.
About some differences that I've noticed in just the first month of being here. Just to put a disclaimer out there, these are all my opinions.
That's my opinion!
And my impressions of my first month of actually living in Australia. Okay. I'm not sure if everyone will notice these things. These are just some things that I noticed myself in this first month. One thing that totally surprised me, I'm actually shocked that this happens, but on the radio and in certain like clothing stores as well, they have like the not clean version of songs playing, which I just thought was like so weird, and I was like, oh my god, did they mess up? Like, you know, this music has like a bad word in it. Like, are they allowed to show that because it's like a public setting? Especially on
we don't care. We don't care. Maybe not the F word, might be pushing it a little bit. Clothing stores probably, I've heard some. On the radio, not so much. S, no worries. Can say that all you want. A lot of TV shows do it anyway. So
on the radio, they'll have like a disclaimer that comes up like before the actual like song comes on, and it's like profanity about to occur or something like that.
I've never heard a warning. It just happens. Okay.
And I was just like, oh my god, I can't believe they like play the whole song, because in America, like, there's no way. It's like super unprofessional.
As Australia, we don't care. We don't care. Whatever. Have you heard us? Yikes. Yeah, we swear all the time. Not so much on YouTube, obviously, but yeah.
If you go into a place and they're like have music like playing cuss words, you know. One thing I noticed as soon as I got off of the airport was just how much more Melbourne spent money towards making everything look nice. And what I mean by this is like when you're going along certain highways or you're going under bridges, the bridges are kind of aesthetically and architecturally a little bit more prettier.
Probably because the Yarra, which is the river that runs through Melbourne, is pretty brown and pretty gross. Probably prettying it up with a couple of lights here and there is probably a good thing. Melbourne, on the whole, is a great city. You know, free transport inside in the CBD area and everything. I've been to Melbourne a couple of times. Great city. Too cold to live down there, obviously. But apart from that, it's all right. And they play the wrong sport down there. But anyway.
There's so much more of a focus on making things look more aesthetically pleasing, because in California, some of the freeways just absolutely suck. And in Australia too, they have digital signs instead of like the physical signs. So it would be like, oh, 100 kilometers per hour. And then if there's an accident,
they don't have digital signs in America? That's weird. Because that way they can change if there's an accident or something like that. Okay.
Digital signs would slow down and be flashing, where in America you're just having like a consistent, you know, 65 miles per hour and you have to follow that, but you don't know if there's a crash further down the road and whether to avoid it. So I think in that regard, Australia is like a little bit safer when it comes to the road. Obviously there's crazy drivers in both countries.
Wow.
But Australia has like those warning signs of like, hey, move to the left or move to the right because a car is broken down on that side. So I think that was like a really cool thing that I noticed in Australia. Another thing, if we're talking about transport as well, would be the public transport that's offered in both countries. I was from specifically like the Bay Area, so the Bay Area has like an okay public transport, but I feel like it's pretty expensive. Like anytime I would jump on the Caltrain, I found that I would be spending like $20 if I were to go through the Caltrain.
Bruh,
And when I'm
wow.
taking the train in Melbourne, it's like, yeah, it'll cost me about like $4.60 for like the same.
It depends where you go in Melbourne. Like I said, in the CBD, in the actual city centre, it's totally free. The trams are definitely free. The last time I was down there, it was anyway. So $15 for a trip. Wow.
Amount of time and travel. And they also
Yikes.
have a free section
Yeah,
of
see.
transport
Yeah, yeah.
within the very center of the city,
Yeah.
where when you're taking a tram between certain stops, it's completely free and you don't have to pay at all to use that transport, which I think is really, really cool and really fun. Another thing too, I know this kind of depends on what area you're in, but Australia has like a coffee shop on like every single corner, or they'll have like 4 coffee shops like on a single corner. Like,
But we have a lot of coffee shops. Not very many Starbucks. I think we just got a Starbucks down there. I haven't been to it. It's been there for about 2 years. Yeah, very few and far between. But we have good coffee here in Australia. We have great coffee, actually. But yeah, it's more like little independent coffee shops.
there's a center near me, like a shopping center, and I'm not even joking, there's 5 coffee shops all
Yep.
within the same like
You
500
like
meters
coffee.
of
I
each
can't-
other. It's insane.
can't-
But with that, I feel like there's more of like a coffee culture in terms of like sit down and drink your coffee, where in America it's like you get your coffee and go somewhere else. It's like you would get a to-go cup. Where like in Australia, everywhere that you're going, if you're having it like for here instead of takeaway, like you have a like, you know, a mug or like a ceramic mug. Most places in America, I feel like only do the to-go cup. So
In Queensland, there's 2 points to that. One, because it's nice to sit down, take a breather. And 2, most of the time they're air conditioned, so it's nice and cool. So, especially here in Queensland where it's freaking hot all the time. And if you're having hot coffee, it's nice to have a bit of aircon as well. Okay, we love our coffee. What can we say? We love it. As I said, we great coffee here too. So
I found that was kind of cool because it's like, you know, you sit down, you relax at a coffee shop. Rather than I feel like in America, if you go to a coffee shop, you're like studying or working. Where like in Australia
No, you
here, it's a
relax.
little bit more about relaxing,
Yeah.
enjoying a coffee. It's like you sit down, you chat with somebody. So
Yeah.
you're doing that in America too, but I feel like there's just more of a focus on it in Australia. A big part that I think was pretty different, which California has like the win on this, would be like the weather. Melbourne weather is known for
Melbourne is crap weather. It's very European. It's very cold. It can be very wet, but summers can be roasting, like 40 degrees Celsius, tipping 100, Fahrenheit. The weather is all over the place. Whereas Queensland, much more tropical. We're very stable. Humidity up here, though, whew, that's a killer. But yeah, Melbourne is terrible weather.
having like 4 seasons in one day. So like in the morning it'll be freezing cold, and then in the middle of the day it's like, you know, an autumn kind of like fall kind of weather, and then you maybe get like, it feels like summer and it's like super hot and it's probably like, you know, 30 degrees or more than that. Then by the end of the night you're getting like, you know, spring and it's like raining or something like that. Where I feel like the weather in California is like super consistent every day. Like if it's gonna rain, it's gonna rain for the entire day. But if it's gonna be sunny, it's gonna be sunny for the entire day. Melbourne, at least, it's like so different every day. So because of that, you have to be like dressed
Like I said, very European weather.
and ready for any
Yeah.
single weather pattern that could come on. You have to bring
Yeah.
like a jacket or like sweatpants, even if you know that it's going to be like a sunny day, just in case. The weather is so unpredictable. As well as talking about weather too, the sun is so much stronger here in Australia than it is in California. In
Yep.
California, I feel like if it's a sunny day, I can go out and get away with not wearing sunscreen. Where here, I will 100% get burned if I
Yep.
don't wear sunscreen. And it's
It's even worse up here in Queensland. We are the sun cancer capital of the world. It's not a question if you're going to get it, it's when. Everybody gets it up here. I've already been through it already, so I know. Definitely different. The sun, I think a lot of people are kind of surprised with that. When you come to Australia, the sun is different. I don't know why. Maybe it's thinner layer. I don't know. But it's definitely different too.
a sunny day. The UV is like constantly super high. The other day
Yeah.
for my walking a half marathon video, I didn't put enough sunscreen on my arms and I literally got the worst watch tan ever. I don't know if it really shows up on video, but like,
No.
but yeah, definitely wearing your sunscreen here in Australia is so important. They have like a whole bunch of campaigns about protecting yourself.
Oh, just the way she says campaign as well. Very Australian. That A, she's still got that A in her speech there. You can definitely tell she's got a bit of Australian accent as well too. It probably gets stronger the more time she spends here as well. but that A is definitely Australian.
From the
Okay.
sun because there's a really high skin cancer risk by not wearing sunscreen. Now we're talking about slang. I'm probably gonna do a whole video on that where like I interview my family about the different kinds of slang that they use. But obviously there's a lot of different kinds of terms and things that they call different items in Australia. So for example, a big one is flip-flops in California
We all know. Come on. We all know they're thongs. Come on. Don't pretend.
are called thongs here.
Of course they
but
are.
thongs in California mean like underwear. With that, there is a lot of different slang, and like sometimes when I hear other people talk about, different words that I don't know the meaning of, I'm like so confused on what they're talking about. I'm slowly starting to catch up to what the slang is. And on my last video, I called one of those like clip-on bags that you use for walking and stuff, I call it like a fanny pack.
Yeah, nah. Bum bag, we call them here in Australia. Yes.
But apparently that's like not a good word. I call it a bum bag. So some people commented on my last video about calling it a bum bag. So that's what I'm going to be calling it now. Another thing here too is that drinking tap water is like completely normal, and like most people drink their tap water. In America, like most people are using like a Brita filter, or they're somehow filtering their water using bottled water. But
I don't know. There's two schools, obviously. Our water up here is pretty good. Some towns you wouldn't drink the water even if you're paid. But everybody knows that. Don't drink the town water. It's bore water, whatever. But I think on the whole, it's pretty good. I think the water is pretty good.
in Australia, it's totally normal to drink your tap water, and most people just do it anyways. Okay, let's see how long I can go before my battery dies. Also, I feel like the money makes so much more sense here in Australia. Every single bill has its own color.
And it's a slightly different size for every note as well too. So, and our notes are plastic, so you can put them through the wash, no worries at all. They won't, and they're very, very hard to counterfeit as well.
The part that kind of confuses me is when it gets to the coins, because there's like a $2 coin, a $1 coin, and then all the cents, but they don't have pennies. If you're charging someone for something and it's like $12.93, you would then round down to 90 because there's only like the 5-cent coin and not like
No, I think 3 goes up. You truncate up, not down. 2 would go down. We haven't had 1s and 2 pennies since the 80s, maybe early 90s. The 5 cents we haven't had for 20 years or something. We haven't had for ages. I mean, the 1s and 2s for ages. They're just talking about getting rid of the 5 cents as well too. Not quite there yet, but it's been a long time. We used to have a $1 and $2 note as well, but they got rid of that and made them coins as well. So
a penny. So that was like something that I had to get used to at least, because I'm like, wait, do I have to like round? Like I have to like think a little bit extra when I'm giving people change.
But the good thing here is we don't have added tax. Like we have tax, but it's already included in the bill. So, if you buy something and it's $1.65, it's going to be $1.65. The tax, if there is tax, it's already included. You don't have to work out plus tax. So, which is good, so.
I feel like I actually care a lot more about coins because there's like the $1 coin and $2 coin, where in America, like the highest coin that you really have and that you use frequently would be like the 25-cent coin, like a quarter. Because of that, like I don't really care about change, but
You don't have a 50-cent coin in America? That's weird.
like here, change actually matters because it's worth a lot more. Lastly, getting used to like Celsius instead of Fahrenheit was something to get used to, because people talk about like, oh my god, it's so hot, like it's 30 degrees. To me in Fahrenheit, 30 degrees is like freezing. Like it's below freezing. It was like definitely something to get used to, and I have to think like, okay, a 20-degree day, like what am I gonna wear for a 20-degree day? Definitely having to get used to like that Celsius change, and I'm kind of starting to get kilometers as well. I feel like understanding like how far a kilometer is, I'm like, okay, it's a little bit less than a mile, but like not half, but like a little bit more than half.
I think it's 0.6 of a mile. A mile is 1.6 kilometers, yeah.
Like trying to understand that as well has been a bit of a challenge. The metric system makes more sense, like we all know that. So yeah, I think I might make a part 2 for more information on the differences between Australia and the US. Obviously, I've only been here for like just over a month, so I don't know everything about the country, but I'm really excited to like get to learn more and find more differences. I think think I'm going to make a video about slang as well, so stay tuned for that. Now, before my camera dies, I wanted to say thank you guys so much for watching my video, and if you like seeing videos like this about Australia, definitely subscribe so you can watch more videos that I come out with. My posting schedule right now, I'm trying to post every Thursday and Sunday.
Oh. Okay. So that was good from somebody's point of view who's only been here for a month, but having that kind of background being Australian as well, you could definitely tell her A's were Australian. The way she actually says Australia, straight away I kind of, you know, twigged my hearing. It's like, okay, there's something different about that. But obviously you found out she was born here. A lot of it kind of pretty on the surface, you know. The money here is great because obviously it's plastic and it's all color coded, so you can't mistake it. The weather, especially in Melbourne, you know, it's probably in the worst place in Australia for weather because, as she said, you know, there is 4 seasons in a day. It's kind of like European. It's probably maybe not quite as cold as obviously Northern Hemisphere, but it's kind of in that weird kind of area where it gets, not like here in the tropics in Brisbane. That was good though. Good to see that kind of somebody coming in and then being confused a little bit, especially the slang can be a little bit confusing as well too. So Celsius and Fahrenheit, I'm always complaining to the community about Celsius and Fahrenheit. We always kind of have a bit of a joke back and forth, and especially the kilometers and miles. It's like freedom units. I don't know. Just tell me in English. Just tell me in English what it is. But that was good. I like that. If she does have a part 2, I might kind of have a look at her part 2 as well. It's just, yeah, it's kind of that American. Some words she sounds very American, and then there's that little bit of Aussie that comes out, and it's just like, oh, okay, that kind of throws me off. When she said campaign, definitely sounded Australian. But that was good. There is a lot of differences between our countries, even though we're very similar in some parts. I mean, Americans say they speak English. I'm sure they do. I'm always forever giving America a hard time. But we have a lot of Americans in probably about 75% of our subscribers here are American. We all get on, we all have a bit of a laugh about it, and they give it back to me just as much anyway. So, but that was very good. Let me know what you guys thought of it. Thank you very much for joining me today. Make sure you stay safe, and I will definitely see you in the next reaction video.